Hello, hello, hello. We should be live any moment now. I am starting earlier to make sure everything is set up correctly. I just need to see the stream on the screen. Yeah, it seems like YouTube is working. I'll just wait a second until LinkedIn starts. So, as usual, I do expect a bit of a delay, but we'll see about it. I'll just confirm with my colleague how's the voice quality. Okay. I need to keep up my voice so he can hear anything I can say and make sure this will go. Why LinkedIn is not working? And sound quality is flawless, lovely. That's what I wanted to hear. And LinkedIn also started, and I see 3 people watching. That's a crowd. Okay. Okay. So I will open up my view here. Just give me a second to set up everything, and we'll be starting. Okay, we get it here. Okay. Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome to our second session. Hopefully, this one will have a proper sound all over the live stream because the last one unfortunately was destroyed by some technical glitches. Hopefully, I did iron out all the wrinkles and everything will go smoothly today. So, why are we here? We are here because my personal goal and my professional goal is to spread knowledge about modern authentication methods. Coincidentally, I do share this goal with Secfense, sponsor of this and future live streams, a company I have the pleasure of cooperating with in moving towards the passwordless future. We came up with this idea that through a series of live broadcasts, like the one you are watching right now, we'll try to tackle topics related to security from many angles, but mostly from the authentication perspective. From time to time, however, we might delve into areas somewhat atypical compared to the main topic. Recently, I did talk about VPNs, but due to the aforementioned technical issues, there's a chance I will repeat this topic so I could actually be heard, not just seen. As I do really hope there is more content than just my looks. Also, perhaps in the near future, I will translate these sessions to Polish and put them on the channel so to get a broader audience. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Perhaps some of you did watch the show I did with Mateusz Krobok. It was live last Sunday on his channel. I mean the Q&A, where I had the pleasure of providing the answers part. For those who haven't seen it, I highly recommend to go and watch it. Not necessarily now, because there is no need to have any previous knowledge, but it's a very good episode. Also, one he did almost a year ago, only about Passkeys, when he did a very proper introduction to the idea, is also worth watching. Today, however, I will try to, put some foundations and build upon them on the topic of passwordless authentication. I want to show you both the user perspective and some considerations related to deploying the passkeys in your own environment. Okay, so then, buckle up. Let's go. I promise it is going to get technical at some point of time. And yes, feel free to ask questions. There is a significant delay between what I see on my screen and when you get my voice. So I won't answer them immediately, but I do promise that I will get to them at some point of time and answer each and every one of them, or at least try to answer. Okay, so let's start with the review of the material and maybe expand it a little bit, starting with what exactly passkeys are. And passkeys are an authentication standard that is built on two solid foundations. The first one is the principle of public key cryptography, and the second one is the belief that passwords should already be retired. I will talk more about the first principle, and the second topic is so broad and nuanced that, yes, I will leave it for next sessions. And what is this public key cryptography? Let's get to some history. In 1976, Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman, let me just show you this paper, wrote a paper, New Directions in Cryptography, and this paper had a huge impact on how we currently secure our data transmission. The work was based on the relationships of one-way functions, and the most important takeaway is the principle concerning the pair of a public and private key. This principle states that anything encrypted with one can only be decrypted with the other. Interestingly, a similar idea was conceived by James H. Ellis, a British cryptographer working for the UK government communications headquarters. This guy, in 1970, sorry, wrong page. In 1970, so 6 years before Diffie and Hellman, came up with the same idea. This idea was further developed by Clifford Cox 3 years later, and he gave it a practical application. 1 year later, in 1974, Malcolm J. Williamson invented the key exchange algorithm. So every building block of the public key cryptography was already there before Diffie and Hellman came up with the idea, or were given the idea, some may say, and published it. Unfortunately, we only learned about Williamson, Cox, and Ellis in 1997 when the British government finally decided to disclose these studies. Until this date, Diffie and Hellman were known as the parents of asymmetric cryptography. So the idea of Cox was independently discovered by Rivest, Shamir, and Adelman, and it gave birth to what later became known as the RSA algorithm. And the algorithm identical to what Williamson did was later called the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. Fortunately, though posthumously, the world did appreciate Williamson, Cox, and Ellis. I did spend this time on history not only to appreciate the innovators. The mentioned property of asymmetric encryption is ideal for confirming that you are you, because of this property that only you can possess the private key and encrypt things that only can be decrypted with the public key. For authentication purposes, this is achieved by the signing process, which is somewhat similar to encryption, but a little bit more transparent. There's a very nice workflow of such process, and the idea is the data you want to sign is hashed using a chosen algorithm, and then the hash is encrypted with the sender's private key. The recipient on the other side of the communication receives the message and the encrypted hash and the public key. if they don't have it already, and uses those things to decrypt the received hash while hashing the received message using the same algorithm the sender did. If all the output of these operations will be identical, well, then the sender is confirmed as the owner of the private key. This process, the document signing process, is very important for what the FIDO is doing. And yeah, all I can say is remember it. Let's move a bit and talk on FIDO's take on this whole cryptography idea. Though with one small step. Before we do it, I'd like to explain a few terms that I will be using during this live. I will work based on this Passkeys.dev glossary, because without this explanation, without making you familiar with some terms related to FIDO authentications, the things I will be saying might sound a little peculiar and odd. So, there are a lot of terms that do require explanation, but for the purpose of this live, I will stick just to a few specifically selected. So the most important term is relying party, and this term refers to service. Oh, maybe I'll find it here. So you'll see. So this term refers to a service that uses a passkey to authenticate us as users. The relying party communicates with authenticator, so your mobile, your computer, or your security key, via the client. The client is the browser and the Web of N API. Web of N, as mentioned, is a JavaScript API and is used to implement the standard. Another standard protocol that's very important is CTAP, client to authenticator protocol. Probably won't be as fast with scrolling those pages, so you gotta believe me. I'm saying the truth. So the client to authentication protocol is an API used for communication between the browser and the authenticator. We have a couple of kinds of passkeys, and today we'll be talking about device-bound passkeys. A passkey that is stored and tied to a single device. For example, one saved on a hardware key, like the one I have in front of me, or through Windows Hello on the computer. The second type of passkey I'll be talking about and showing also a bit later is a synced passkey. It's a passkey stored in the cloud. It should be, as definition, accessible from various devices. So iCloud keychain or Android password. We'll also talk about passkey providers. A passkey provider is an application or service responsible for storing or managing passkeys. And we'll be talking about two types of those providers. First party passkey provider. It's a passkey provider linked with the hardware or a service provider. Again, Windows Hello, Apple Keychain or similar. And also there is a third party passkey provider. This is a passkey provider that operates as an external application. So 1Password or KeePass, for example. Moving on, that's about it. The rest of the terms will become clear as we move along. A good way to deep dive into passkeys is to learn a little bit about the previous standard. I won't be showing much, so let's focus on me. The previous standard, FIDO U2F. It's not an old standard, but FIDO 2 actually made it obsolete. I will explain why. FIDO U2F, or Universal Second Factor, is all about providing a second authentication factor using a hardware key. Yeah, just like the one I already showed you a couple of times. And the process for both registration and authentication looks more or less as follows. The relying party, or the website or the service, verifies the user using the good old credentials and calls a JavaScript function that creates a request to generate a pair of keys. This request is sent out to all authenticators connected to the computer. And will be intercepted by the one that passes the user presence test. Well, the user presence test in this case is basically touching this, in case of this key, touching this piece of metal here that ensures that we are close, that we are in the vicinity of this authenticator. And once this key intercepts this message, it creates a pair of keys based on following data. First of all, a randomly generated number, anonymous. The second thing is the most important. It's the app ID. And the app ID is received from the browser. It's a value that includes the domain that sent the request. So it is very important because it uniquely identifies the website, the relying party we registered the second factor on. The third thing in this mess of things that creates the key pair is the master secret. It's another key, but this is the one that's permanently embedded within this little piece of hardware. They say it is burned in during the production process, and it's unique to a singular key. It is non-transferable and known neither to the manufacturer nor the owner of the hardware key. So it is said that if you destroy this YubiKey, you will also destroy the master secret. So there's no way, at least yet, that anyone can extract it and impersonate you. Additionally, a checksum is created, which will be used during the authentication. It will ensure that the original key that will be received during the authentication was created where it's being verified. So, well, this step will become a little bit clearer during the login. Basically, in very broad terms, there's a public key generated and the private key. So the public key, the nonce I mentioned, and the checksum are sent back to the relying party, and this whole data set is called a key handle. There might be some other values in it, but those are the most important. And the private key is also sent to the relying party. Wait, what? Yeah, the private key is being sent to the relying party. I meant what I said. And the first time I heard it, I had basically the same reaction you've seen before. How? Well, in pure FIDO, FIDO U2F standard, the private key is encrypted with the master secret, and it also leaves the device. Nothing is saved on the hardware keys, at least in terms of FIDO U2F second factor. There's a very little memory on those. So although this really sounds sacrilegious and astounding for any security focused professional, this key is practically useless unless decrypted. So the chances of decrypting it are particularly zero. So it's useless without the master secret. Nevertheless, YubiKey or Yubico with their YubiKeys took a little bit different approach to the key wrapping. They decided that since the key handle is created based on the values and that are sent to the relying party and are obviously known, and the master secret, they don't need to send it out. They regenerate the key when they're being requested to confirm your identity. So in their case, in their approach, there is no need to send out anything. And there's a very nice article on how they do it on Yubico documentation site. Okay, so that's how you register. That's how you enroll to the second factor using still FIDO, universal second factor. So how is your identity configured? Well, again, since this is only a second factor process, the website relying party identifies you against your existing credentials. And then it creates a small package, a package consisting of the key handle, app ID, though the app ID is actually delivered by the browser to avoid tampering. So the app ID that is created based on the URL you are logging into. And it's also the running party also sends a random challenge. It's just a string of characters that will be used in real life. It is sent with the use of the browser to the authenticator. The authenticator takes these values and first of all decrypts the private key using its own master secret. And then it uses the previously mentioned checksum, which is also in the key handle, to make sure that the key delivered is the key that was sent out during the registration. And it was created based on the app ID. So we in this process, in this step, we confirm that you are providing your second factor on a proper domain. Or in case of Ubico, it regenerates the private key altogether. Then it uses this regenerated or decrypted private key and signs the received challenge and sends it back to the website. The website only then needs to verify the signature of the public using the public key it already has, and well, if everything is okay, the user is authenticated. In any other case, the user is not authenticated and something is wrong, so you're not there. This whole ceremony seems very complicated, but first of all, most of the things here happen behind your back. The communication is between the authenticator and the relying party, where your actions only consist of proving that you are near the authenticator, or in some cases, providing some secret if it's required. The more you look into it and the more you trace these workflows, the more it becomes apparent that actually it is ingeniously simplistic. The private key, just in broad terms, is created based on the app ID, which is created on the website URL. So if we visit a phishing site, the URL will be different. The checksum or the private key regenerated on the YubiKeys will be different. Authentication will fail and you will be safe. Okay, that was universal second factor. Let me just wet my throat a bit. I've been talking for a while and I haven't yet touched the main topic, right? Well, did I? Passkeys and the passkey registration ceremony is very much similar to the one I described already. Let's dive into it. FIDO2 added another variable to the whole ceremony. The variable is called credential ID. This is a fairly simple change, and thanks to it, two things became possible. First of all, the passkeys can become independent of specific user credentials. You can easily identify the passkey, the public and private key, thanks to this credential ID. So passkeys can not only be passwordless, they can also be usernameless. The second implication of this change is that passkey now must be stored on the authenticator. Well, not always, because there's still some legacy ideas possible, but let's leave it for now. Perhaps I will show you such a situation in a moment. But yeah, let's take out that passkey is stored on the authenticator. Well, after all, it needs to be able to identify itself, right? So the registration and login ceremonies did change a little bit. First, the registration request, in the case of universal second factor, was initiated by the browser or by the relying party, right? In this case, in the case of passkeys, this registration is initiated by the authenticator. It's generated on the user side. And can occur both when creating a new account or when you add a passkey to an existing account. So there are two use cases for creation. In this case, the client, specifically the browser, sends a request to the service to create a challenge and then passes this created challenge to the authenticator. The authenticator creates a keeper, as well as it did on the universal second factor process. The private key signs the received challenge, and the public key, credential ID, which is also created in this process, and the signed challenge are sent to the relying party, which then assigns this data to the specific user ID. There's no email, no username added in this process. Obviously, it can be to make this whole thing more transparent and user-friendly. From the perspective of two devices talking, the authenticator and the relying party, there is no need for usernames. There is no need to say that I'm Bartek or whatever. So using the signed challenge, the relying party checks the validity of the received public key, just to ensure that no one dropped something bad in the middle of the communication, and then saves the data in some database related to this particular user. When the user wants to authenticate, again, the client initiates this ceremony by requesting a challenge generation through an action like clicking sign in with a passkey button. The browser passes this challenge to the authenticator along with the app ID containing, obviously, the information about the domain. If the authenticator correctly associates the app ID with the entry for the stored passkey, it signs the received challenge and, along with the credential ID, sends it back to the relying party. And then everything happens instantly. The relying party, based on the received credential ID, and then identifies the public key, checks the validity of the signature, and if everything matches, the user is authenticated. Also, not so complicated, we can actually very easily see this ceremony live on a simple demo site. Passkeys.io. If you were wondering, all the links to the services, to the websites I'm using are in the description of this event, so you can come back to them and do it by yourself. We'll use this site to demo out this idea, and we'll create a passkey. In this case, on Chrome browser, on my Mac. To show you what is happening, I will turn on the network tools. So you'll see the data I've mentioned. Let's sign up. Let's use just some ridiculous email. The thing is that you can use your real email, and as you see by this prompts, I already used some, but you can use your real email if you want to come back here and manage your account. We don't need that, so we'll just figure out something water.com, whatever. This is gotta be random. I don't want this account. So what happens when I sign up with some bogus username? No account exists for Bottle. It checks first whether there's something like that. If this was my email, real, probably I'll get some information. Do I want to create a new account? Yes, sign up. I'm signed up, and now I want to create a passkey. Let me clear it here so the whole process will become apparent. Create a passkey. What happens? First of all, the initialize packet was sent, and you can see it does have some information I've been talking about. It gets the configuration of the passkey. The resident key means that this passkey will be saved. Here's the challenge we talked about. There are public key parameters that can be chosen to use this to create this keeper. There is a relying party, so an app ID, that is Passkeys.io, and some information about the users, which I already passed. I will use, in this case, let's use my iCloud keychain. When I press on it, I will be asked by the API to unlock the authenticator, and just like that, I register the passkey. Technical error occurred. Try again later. So let me do it again. This time a bit quicker because I was talking, so let's not let the time out. Done. Lovely. So what happened? This was the bad situation with code 100. So again, it's initialized with the same data that happened and finalized with some credential ID created. And also in this particular case, I was assigned a user ID. You can see that some information about me are stored. That's the same user ID that you can see here. Also in the configuration, there are information about the passkey I was able to create. So allow deletion, true. This can be deleted. Allow sign up, yes. This can be used to sign me up. For some reason, there is a maximum number of addresses that can be associated with a passkey. Also, a password can be associated with it for some reason. Emails, the one I used to register, so this is being saved in the relying party as well. And in the credentials part, you see credentials ID, the name. It actually shows which authenticator I'm using in order to create this passkey, and it shows the public key that's being saved on the relying party. This also defines which type of passkey it can be used. It can be used as a hybrid authentication. So since it's saved on my iCloud, I can use it on any other PC, or again as internal, so I can use it on this computer. So as simple as that. Now when I sign out from the service, let me just clear this to make it a little bit easier to read, and I will no longer enter my email. I don't really even remember what it was, but I will choose sign in with passkey. And you will see I already did register a couple of passkeys on this website. And the one I used today was, bottleandwater.com. I could probably use any of those unless the account expires, but I will use the one created previously. Again, confirm my identity with Touch ID, and voila, I'm in the service. And again, there is an initialized message. We got a challenge. We've got a relying party ID. We got a finalized message with the credential ID. You already seen this, and the user ID that was registered, so everything is okay. Configuration, no really need to see that. That's the user ID you saw already. What is very important is the credential part. You can see there's some ID here, but what's important, keychain, credential ID, when it was created. And yeah, this is me, web of credential. I have this credential ID, my email address is returned, user ID is returned, and the information on when this passkey was created as well. Very simple process. You can see the whole logging in, and that's something that's it's really nice to see without looking at this page. The process and the user experience looks like this. Sign in with passkey. In this case, choose the passkey, but probably in a normal scenario, there only will be one. Authenticate, open the authenticator, and you're in. Very, very user-friendly. Actually, we like to say that this is the first time that enhancing your security, and you have to agree that using a public key cryptography instead of a shared password is drastically improving your security, and it doesn't come with more traction to the user. It's actually more user-friendly. Okay, that's a demo page. How would it look on a real account? First, let me stop the screen for a second so I can prepare my personal Google account. I will show you how to register different passkeys on your Google account. So you'll be armed with this particular toolset in your arsenal. Security. Yes, and I'm ready to share again. Share screen, window, Chrome. This is my company Google account. Yep, if you want to call this is my number. But as you see, I don't have any passkeys yet registered here. This is actually because I deleted them a couple of minutes ago. So you can choose skip password when possible. In this case, Google will prefer the passwordless function. And let's go a little bit down and let me remind myself. You can add more signing, passkey, and security keys. You use it to add a passkey to your service, which in combination with this setting will actually make your account passwordless. So let's use this. I do need to paste my password because I'm not passwordless. Yes, sorry. I did forget this will happen. And this is here. Hopefully you'll see it. Yeah, I can see. I didn't really want to show it, but you can see that the password experience is terrible. I had to open my KeePass, search for the proper entry, copy, paste. I hate it. I don't want to delete my passkeys ever again. So let's create a passkey. And initially, I'll use this one. So I'll put it in my USB port. I'll create a passkey. That's what you should do also in your Google account. This request first is actually taken over by my KeePass. Okay, so let's use KeePass to create a passkey. This is popped up thanks to a browser extension. So I'll put in a register, and just like that, passkey is created. The first passkey here. I can now log in using a passkey saved in my KeePass. But I don't like only one. Let's create more. I will create a second passkey. And yeah, let's create a passkey. So credential is excluded. You see there's a KeePass error, but it was taken over by the API of my system. And my default passkey method now is iCloud. So yeah, why not? I'll just open my authenticator. Just like that, with one touch, I already have two passkeys. Let's create another one. Create a passkey. Again, KeePass excluded. I don't want only Touch ID. I will press cancel. And actually, I'm worried it didn't show my authenticator here. Let's try use another device. Let's another device. I think I need to put it in other USB port because my dock doesn't work that well. Let's see if it starts flashing when I put it here. Yep, already recognized that it's my Ubico. I unlock the authenticator with the PIN, touch the authenticator. We can allow Google to know this model. It will not identify my particular key. It can only identify batches of 100,000 pieces. Hello. And passkey created. 3 passkeys already. Let's create another one. Why not? Create a passkey, use another device. Nope, not this one. Close. Come on, YubiKey. We can use another device, a QR code. Well, I won't show it to you because I can't show you my screen, but I'll just scan it with my phone, save key, log in. You see, this is being checked whether my phone is near my computer. I'll show my face. Thank you. I already have passkey on the device. Obviously, I do because it is an iCloud. This is how easy it is. You can add as many authenticators as you want. There is no limit to them. You can also add one authenticator to as many accounts as you wish. It's also easy as that. You are not limited to browse to this authenticator I show you. You can add one password, you can add Dashlane, you can add third-party authenticators, you can add Android passwords, you can add Windows Hello with the same process. So what I've shown you, I actually show you various authenticators. One of them was the roaming authenticator. It was the U2F key. It's roaming because I can take it out, use it on another computer. Very easy and, well, very secure, obviously. But it is important to note that this particular little device can only store 25 passkeys. Its memory is already used quite heavily because it can store PKI certificates, it can store OTP seeds, PIN, PUCs, etc. So only 25 passkeys on Ubiquitous Series 5. Whether it's a lot or little, it's up for you to judge. Well, it's worth noting that not every passkey needs to be a resident credential. So there also can be the old way, the U2F way, where the private key is sent to the relying party or regenerated on YubiKeys. As they can also be used as second factors. So yeah. We also used third-party passkey provider, so KeePass, also a very easy thing to use, though it requires some setup. It requires installing the KeePass browser extension because the passkey is always generated via a browser. We also used platform authenticator, so the one that I created. I used to create my iCloud passkey. I created the computer, and so I tried to create one on my iPhone. It gave me an error because I already had a passkey for this particular user ID on this system. But this could also be in terms of a platform authenticator. It could be a Windows Hello, or and it would be stored on the TPM and accessed by Windows operating system. That was one example of using a passkey as a singular way to log in to the relying party. Let me show you how it would look like to use it as a second factor. For this particular case, I will use this application. It's an internal application based on my cloud. I use it for all my labs, and this is protected by the software Secfense is trying successfully selling. So when I will log in here, I am not recognized as a user. I will be intercepted by Secfense software, and now I can use a FIDO2 security key. And I will show you that it works from the cloud. I call it iCloud. Continue. Again, now I'm being intercepted by KeePass. This is the first one. I press cancel here. It moves to the API. I will use the phone. Just scan this QR code. Tap reset passkey. The vicinity now is being checked using Bluetooth Low Energy, the so-called hybrid protocol. I will show my face. Open the authenticator, and the operation succeeded. Lovely, right? The password obviously was awful. Now, when I log out and clear the cookies, because there is a grace period where I would not be asked for the second factor, I will log in again. Sign in, and now I will be asked not to enroll, but to verify my identity. As you will see, okay. KeePass already checked and found no login for the website, but iCloud found. And now I am not using my telephone. There is no QR. I'm just touching my Touch ID, and I provided my second factor with the same passkey that I registered on my phone. Very lovely, very easy process. Okay, so what about phishing? I said that passkeys are phishing resistant due to the app ID. How is it? I'll show you one more take on passwordless. And in this case, I will show you Microsoft take on passwordless. It's a very nice process that uses Microsoft Authenticator. I'll go to Outlook. Obviously, yeah, it would be way better if I would be logged out. Sorry about that. I did show, I was testing this too. I'll open an incognito window. I'll go to Outlook and I will be asked to log in. This one is passwordless, not usernameless. So I'll provide my username. Click next. Outlook.com, obviously. Next. This one actually prompts me on my mobile to confirm this number. Let me just open it, confirm. You can see I show my face, obviously. Oh, sorry, I did not smile enough. Yep, I am confirmed. I don't want to be saved. Lovely. No password. Second factor, something I have, my mobile, something I am, my face. Everything looks fine and nice, except it does not. Whoever noticed this, lucky you. I did not really try to hide it too hard. It was a simulation of having a bad day. I clicked a phishing domain, and let me just change my screen. Settings. Oh, not settings. Present. Share screen. I'll share my entire screen. This will be easier that way. As you can see, there was this lovely tool running in the background. Actually, I scroll up to show you because he deserves a shout out. It's Evil Jinx, an evil reverse proxy coded by Mr. Kubagrecki, which I bow to because I use this tool all the time. So, what happened here? As you can see, the last session was caught. It looks like the one that belongs to me. Let's see. Sessions 89. And yes, it looks like me. There is my username. There is no password. So, lucky me, I did not get fished for a password, but I got fished for this. I got fished for a session cookie. And now, let's move to a completely different browser. So you will see it was not a fake. I go to Outlook. Hopefully I am logged out. Yes. It's a real Outlook now. So no phishing domain. And I will not be logging in here. I will use this simple browser extension, import my cookie, and refresh. Game over. This hypothetical attacker just got his hands on my Outlook account. And to be honest, not only Outlook account, with it, he actually has my Microsoft account. Fortunately, I don't really use it, so yeah. I'm not that devastated, but I tried. I could do plenty of things here. How do I defend against this attack? Let's do it like that. Let's log out. And to save your time, I'll open a new incognito window. Again, go to this phishing domain. No, I need to close everything. Sorry about that. Just close all the Chrome pages and open a new one. Yeah, I already have one open here, so like that. Just for the sake of having an environment. Again, I go to this not a fish.com domain, but this time I will use the account where I have a passkey registered. So sign in options, sign in with my key here. I need to put it back in the USB. Sign in with security key. What happened? Something good happened. Invalid postback URL parameter. Postback URL is what Microsoft calls the app ID. No authenticator recognized it. And to show you that this actually works, I go to a real Outlook.com, sign in. Again, sign in options, no username. real domain. And you don't see it. My key flashes here. So I need to touch it, type out my PIN, flash it again, touch it again. And yeah, again, easy and most importantly, secure. And very, very nice. I love this process. I'm always astounded, and I always lost my breath when I can't log in because this parameter was wrong. Okay, I've actually been talking for 50 minutes. I'm astounded by that as well. So let's conclude this because that's all I wanted to show you today. Hope it wasn't too chaotic. I can get really excited about the idea and talk too fast and show too much. So I do hope you managed to take out something that will be of interest to you and you could use it in your companies. I hope that I've given you a good idea of how passwordless authentication can look like and how it looks behind the scenes. I must also admit, I only scratched the surface of this topic. I will certainly return to it more than once because there's a lot of to tell. And if I had more time and more stamina, the talking really does put a lot of stress on my voice. I would probably discuss topics like the case study of the Como, where Japanese telecom did enroll 80 million users into passwordless authentication. I could spend some more time on WebAuthn and CTAP, as those protocols have really loads of layers that should be unveiled. I also plan to talk on how not to implement Passkeys. Well, I won't today, but I'm really looking forward to prepare those live shows. So sooner or later, also, I would like to talk about the application that Secfense is producing, and I had the pleasure of deploying because it's a really good way to implement Passkeys, implement second-factor authentication, safe second-factor authentication, where it's usually not possible. And hopefully, soon enough, I'll be able to talk about some exciting projects we are working on. And I do think that will be in spotlight soon. So, all of this in the future meetings. Hope you will also attend. And in the meantime, take care and stay safe. Let me just check the tools, whether there are any questions. I should have all the chats aggregated in my streaming tool, but let's just check LinkedIn, as this is the one that has the most delay and is usually the problem. It works really bad today. Events masker in the Passkeys. Hello, Piotr. Sorry for not announcing you earlier. Hello, Piotr from Okadon. Nice to see you. And I'm really happy the sound is flawless. I did work for it. I did work for it to happen. Okay, since I don't see no questions both on LinkedIn and YouTube, I will call it a day. And thank you for watching. Even if you watch it now or later, this will be available. Bye bye.